Have you ever seen the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street or even Freddy versus Jason? Well, if you ever seen one of those, you notice a character named Freddy Krueger. When kids mention his name among other kids in the movie, then they start to have nightmares, and I believe that's probably the scariest day of their life because their life changes forever because they start to have that dream and bad things start to happen. They start to hear the songs, one, two, Freddy's coming for you. I remember as a kid, the kids used to talk about that movie, and people would say, "Stop saying that," because they would be so scared because they seen this movie. Well, I was more of a Jason kind of guy, but I remember kids talking about those movies, and kids would be scared forever. Well, blindness is sort of like that. When you're going through it, you don't, when you get told something bad about your eyesight, like I did at a teenage, as a teenager, I was about 14 or 15, and I went to the doctors and they gave me bad news that I had an eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, which is tunnel vision, which means the retinals on your eyesight does not work or does not function like the person with perfect vision. And my heart sank, and that changed my life forever from that point. Hi, this is my blind life, and what I'm going to go through in these audio are stories of my life, maybe this things I'll go through. I'll even do cooking things as a blind person, audio videos or just audio versions of these videos. You can just listen to it, but I'll go through weekly, maybe every week, and maybe a topic. Maybe you guys can list a topic or something you might have a question with. But I'm MR3, and this is my blind life. Okay, when the second day or the second time I had bad news, and the second scariest day of my life was when I was working at a grocery store and I was pushing carts, and all of a sudden a car nearly backed into me, which was not their fault because I went when I was not supposed to because I did not see that car coming. And that's how I knew my eyesight was deteriorated to a point where I could not work. A lot of people say, "Can't you do? Can't they put you somewhere else?" Well, as a courtesy clerk, you need to be functioning, especially me as a full timer. I had to do everything. I had to, when a person uses a motorized motor scooter to go outside, I had to bring it in. As a blind person, you can't say you can't get someone else to do it for you, especially if you're a full timer, because that's what you're being paid to. And if someone helps or wants you to help them unload their groceries, then you would have to get the carts as well in the corral and push it back in. You can't always say, "Can you help me?" because everyone else is busy. And that's what I knew that I had to stop working at that point. But that was a scary day in my life. It led to maybe 10 years of depression. But I went through 3 months. I even gave up working out or weightlifting, and I loved this since I was 14. But I gave it up, and I lost confidence in myself, which, if you knew me, I was kind of an arrogant guy or even somewhat overconfident, and I lost confidence. I remember I used to go into Walmart with my family and I would get clammy. I would be sweating even during the winter, even when the stores were nice and cool or even cold sometimes. I'd get really clammy because I built up anxiety at that point because I didn't know if my family would accidentally run me into something in the store. I could not trust their eyesight. It's not their fault. They're not used to that. They would not. It was not up to them. They just helped guide me the best they could at that point because they were. This was just a new thing in our lives now. So I lost confidence in myself for a while, maybe a couple years. Then the third scariest time was I woke up in the late January or early February of 2020, and I woke up and everything was dark at 8 o'clock in the morning. I overslept, and usually I could see the sun through my windows, even through the blinds and curtains, but I could not see it at that point. Everything was just dark. I even tried to turn on the lights. I thought the power went out. I went outside and it was still dark. So I knew that I was blind at that point. The scariest part was when you wake up and you came in, you forget where everything was because you're kind of in a panic mode. And what I had to do was calm myself down and remind myself where everything was and not panic. But I was still kind of scared. So I kind of lost confidence in myself. These 3 points in my life seems like every 10 years that happens. But you gotta get yourself out of those situations as much as you can because you gotta start telling yourself you can't do things because you don't want to stop living. And I don't mean that in the worst kind of way. I mean that in the best kind of way. You don't want to sit around all day doing nothing, having pity for yourself and letting others feel sorry for you. You got to tell yourself you can do something. You, whether you're visually abled or you have a visual disability, you can't just let people feel sorry for you because that's not a good picture. You want to be told you can do something because you want to live life to the fullest. A lot of blind people, I heard they stop cooking sometimes. Well, I'm a weightlifter. I love eating, so I gotta learn how to cook stuff. I had a education department of the state come by called Commission for the Blind. They taught me how to cook a little here and there. So that brought me back some confidence and I started cooking more. I started grilling chicken so I could make grilled chicken sandwiches. I started grilling turkey sausage so I can make my copycat of the McDonald's version of the sausage McMuffins. I even learned how to put frozen pizza in the oven. I even made my own cheese and bean burrito one time, and threw in the oven so it could cook all the way. Because I don't like the processed food, like the frozen burritos. They don't taste as good as what you could do for yourself. So don't let anybody limit you. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something, but tell yourself that you can do certain things. I know you can't probably drive legally. People usually ask, "You want to drive?" And I'll say, "If you don't mind damaging your vehicle, or do you have full insurance?" See, I even joke about my own blindness sometimes because life is fun and you should joke around and not take everything so serious so you can enjoy life instead of getting hurt by everything. So have confidence in yourself. I gave up weightlifting for 3 months or 4 months, whatever the time frame was, but I got back into that when I started building a little bit more confidence. Maybe you did something before you went blind that you love. Maybe you can start to pick that up. I even started to drum. I even started to preach once in a while when I was starting to lose my eyesight. I did the best I could with the church I was going to, and helped as much as humanly possible as I could at that point. I didn't let things dictate my life. I wanted to control my own narrative. If you've seen those control your narrative videos, that's where what I always say, you got to control your own narrative, or you got to control your narrative. Even if you're blind or low vision, blindness is a spectrum because, like I said, I had retinitis pigmentosa, which is tunnel vision. If you don't know what that is, you can cup your eyes like binoculars in front of you, and that's what I saw most of my life before I went blind, or even smaller sometimes. But I didn't let things stop me from living the life I wanted to. I make YouTube videos on my other part of the channel called Control Your Narrative. I built up confidence. I want to improve my personal development or self-improvement after I went blind. I want to continue that journey. And that's what I'm hoping that some people pick up from that part of the channel. If you want, you can go through that. I even have ones where I'm going through financial development, hoping that some people improve their finances or at least stay the course of what they're going through if they're doing good. Because I want to impact lives. Whether I'm blind, whether I had vision, that's always been my purpose, I believe. That's why God put me here, and I am a Christian. That's how, when I lost my job, that's how I got back on track, was through my Savior Jesus Christ and weightlifting after that. But that might not be your path. Maybe you're not a believer. But we got to find confidence in ourselves. So whether you have any kind of disability, you got to have confidence in yourself. I'm not saying being overly positive where you hurt yourself doing something you can't do or you shouldn't be doing, like lifting something so heavy. We got to take it in steps. When I really want to learn how to cook when I went fully blind, I called the Commission for the Blind. They sent over someone to help teach me, and just recently I learned to pay my own credit cards using the bank app because of the Commission for the Blind. There are sources out there to help you go through your blind life, maybe even other people with other disabilities. But then there's another one called the NFB, National Federation of the Blind or for the Blind. But there are like communities all over the country, small communities that get together so the local communities can help each other out with their stories. These may be through Zoom because blind people can't drive most of the time. So we have communities. So that's how I'm learning how other people's lives are sometimes. Even my Commission for the Blind instructor, I'm learning through their blindness what they either see from other blind people or maybe they're blind themselves. But I think learning about your disability can help you become more confident in yourself as opposed to just doing everything by yourself. Like I used to cook before I started losing my eyesight because I could see things. But now with my instructor, they gave me things I can use. Like there's a thing called Be My Eyes or Be My AI on my phone, which I use a lot of times. I even learned to record YouTube videos, which are raw, not edited, because I can't edit it myself. But when I do, I have to hire someone else to do it. But we can all do things we did before. We just have to relearn certain things in our lives, which will help us bring confidence, which will also bring joy in our life. So we're not just home alone, sitting down. I have internet now, and it gave me some new content on my TVs. I can listen to the audio description. It brings a little bit more life to the movies, which you can look back on my Blind Life playlist here if you want, if you're a new person coming on. But there's so much we could do as blind people, and you just have to listen to other people's life stories that will motivate you. Some of them went to school even though they're blind. I'm not talking a blind school, I'm talking regular education. Some of them have degrees in law, some of them have other types of degrees, but it's all about what you want in your life. That's what I'm learning. So you gotta have confidence in what you're doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, sometimes it's a learning process. Just learn talking and hearing life stories of these other people helps me. So I hope my blind life impacts a lot of people, that they don't have to stop living just because they're blind or disabled. So keep on living life. Although I had 3 scary times of my life, I had to overcome and build confidence in my own life. So I hope this video helps somebody out there, because only you can control your narrative as a blind person, and only you can live your life. But this is my blind life.